All right, hey everybody, just getting started here. Doing a little impromptu stream. Just gonna go over some Excel kind of some topics I've been covering about Excel in my content lately. My cats may come in and out. We'll see. They're a little rambunctious right now, so I don't know if we'll get to see much of them on the stream today. But if they decide to hop on, they'll be along with us. I am just gonna quickly get all of my links shared everywhere else. Give me just a second and then we'll get started. If you're somebody tuning on early, let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. I have a little chat window open. I think we are streaming on both LinkedIn and YouTube right now. So wherever you're tuning in from, hello. Just checking to see if audio is working as well. Give me 1 second here. Looks like it is. If you can hear me okay, let me know as well if you're somebody who's watching. Let me just quickly do this. Okay, perfect. All right. Looks like we're working. Let me just grab my links and start sharing those. And if you have questions while I'm just getting set up here, feel free to type them up and put them in the chat. I very much enjoy when these streams have people asking questions, stuff we can kind of cover and go into. I think it makes the streams just a little more interesting in general. And all right. Yeah, I've been streaming less on YouTube and LinkedIn lately. You all might have noticed that. I just tend to have many more people tune in when I stream on other channels. Oh, Catherine, hey, I see you in the chat. I'm so happy to have you here. And I know we haven't chatted in a while, but we should connect again one of these days. As I am just getting all my links out here and shared, I just want to also mention there was some really exciting data viz news recently. I am a huge fan of this amazing information designer named Federica Fraggiapani, and some of her data viz pieces recently got acquired by the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. And it's a really big step in the direction of people sort of appreciating data visualization as art. It's a super big deal, actually, in this community, and something I'm so excited about. I could not be happier for Federica, and I'm seeing lots of posts about it and people sort of starting to understand the magnitude of how important that event was. So that's one of the many things I've been excited about lately in the community. All right, and Catherine, hey, oh, there we go. I see your second message. Great to see you as well. Sorry, there's a little delay between me speaking to the camera and then it getting through and then the chat coming back. So I apologize if it takes me a little while to respond. Okay, oops, there we go. I hope I didn't just like mess up my stream there. Sorry, folks, my external monitor is not playing very nicely with me here. And I'm trying to get it updated. That's okay. Maybe we'll just disconnect it and reconnect. Well, I can't do that either. That's okay. We'll just keep streaming. So, all right, everyone. Thank you again for checking in. AV check good. Thank you, Larry. First notice I got on LinkedIn preferred streaming platform. Yeah, Larry, I have been doing more streaming on TikTok lately for a lot of different reasons, but mainly just because I can get a much bigger audience on my TikTok streams because I have so many followers there. I like YouTube for streaming because I can just hook up my OBS, like my streaming software, to it, and really have all of the benefits of, my fancy mic, my green screen. All this stuff works really well there. Whereas on TikTok, I can't really do any of that stuff. So that's kind of my general feeling on it. And I'll keep an eye out for questions and comments as we go. I'm having some slight technical difficulties over here, everyone, just a heads up. So if I miss a comment, I apologize. My screen is glitching out right now as I do this. So, but I can show my other screen, which is not glitching out, and we can talk a little bit about what's on here. So recently I've been talking a little bit about more sort of accessible approaches to what type of content to put into your dashboards, into your visualizations, just stuff to kind of get people started who maybe you just work with data occasionally here and there. Maybe you're just somebody who does a little bit of data work every once in a while. You make a report every week or every month with some marketing data that you're like copy pasting from a few different places or something. I think a lot of those people end up in a situation where they're kind of wondering, like, well, what the heck do I even put on a page and why? And like, how does any of that work? And so I recently was just thinking about if I boiled down like the place to start, where everyone should start, even if you don't know what you're doing, I think it comes down to kind of the same simple recipe, and that is get a metric name on the page. Make sure the metric name isn't jargon. It doesn't have acronyms in it. It needs to be clear communication, right? So we're talking straightforward name that even your least technical person is going to understand. Probably want to have some contextual information if there's any element of it that people might not understand, meaning give a little, if you have a little space there, give a sentence if you need to make sure people actually understand what they're looking at. Give the metric, make it big, make it clear, make it bold, format it in a way that is understandable. And then oftentimes I suggest that people have some kind of like delta metric. So like how much has this changed from the previous period, or how much higher is this from the same or lower from the same time last year, or even how much higher or lower is this than the average or median. And then if you have it over time, just plot it over time. These are kind of like the first questions people ask when you show them any kind of metric. Hey, here's a metric. First thing they're going to ask is this higher or lower than usual, or higher or lower than last month or last year? And then the next thing they're going to ask you is, hey, can I see this over time? So I get a sense of where we are in, variance-wise to where we would normally be. And I think for a lot of us who work with data, this might seem too simple. It's just too straightforward or something like that. But I think for a lot of the more sort of casual data folks out there, this can be really critically important for helping them just have a launching point before they start getting a little bit deeper and asking about like, hey, what questions can I answer with my data? LinkedIn, we're gonna. Oh, cool. All right. Sorry, I have a Discord as well where I get questions and folks can kind of like tune in and post about stuff. And I'm just reading some of those now. So somebody here on the Discord, Squirrely, asks, hey, any recommendations for making sure your PC-created dashboards work on Mac? I've learned data models aren't compatible on Mac, which made my beautiful interactive dashboard inoperable for a key staff member. Yeah, so there are just some functional limitations of the Mac version of Excel versus the PC version of Excel. And that is one of them. Data models is one of them. How do I put this? So essentially, the core functionality is there. All your visualization types, for the most part, are going to operate on both Mac and PC. Most of, if not all of the formulas and functions you use are going to work just fine. In fact, there are some funny little features that are only on Mac and not on PC. So what I kind of tell people is if you're going to be creating a file you share across an organization where everybody's on different device types, you always have to just test it on a Mac and a PC before you send it out. I know that's kind of a pain and people don't want to deal with that a lot of the time. I get it. But it's just necessary. And funny enough, because Mac has less functionality, I often find it's helpful to just do my initial version on a Mac, which is crazy to some people. But I do all my streaming and video on my Mac as well. And it actually works out really well doing my initial stuff on Mac and then knowing that PC's got most of the functionality. I always test it on a PC version, of course, and make sure everything looks good. But overall, like that workflow works quite well for me. And I'll just put another note there as well. If you are doing stuff on Mac and then sharing it with people on PC, if that's your flow, you do have to, if you're using a lot of pivot charts, you're going to have to go through and make some changes on the PC version because a lot of things will get a little bit lost. Or not, excuse me, I shouldn't say lost. A lot of things are going to show up on the PC version of Excel that you wouldn't see, little filters for your pivot charts, that sort of thing. So there's some small tweaks there, but it's just the bottom line. We live in a world where a lot of people are on different operating systems, and we have to account for it, unfortunately. It can be frustrating sometimes. And hold on, I'm just clicking over, seeing if we have any other questions here. So sorry, everybody. My screens are really glitching out, so I'm not able to see all these, but I'll keep an eye out. And again, yeah, if anybody has questions or comments, don't hesitate to ask them. I will keep an eye on these. I just, again, having some screen issues, so I might not be able to see everything. Might take a second. Okay, so yeah, diving back into it. I've been really, yeah, just thinking about this idea of like that sort of first level of data presentation that people experience when they start working with data, because like we're not all starting from a foundation of taking courses in data analytics or data science or data visualization. A lot of people really are, and I would actually, I think there's a very strong argument to be made that the vast majority of data work happening is being done by folks that don't actually have that formal training and that are kind of casually doing data work as part of another job, as another function that's added an add-on to whatever their core job function is. And that's one of the things that Excel's so great for, is kind of addressing those folks in particular, just because it's a very intuitive platform for working with data. But I think the kind of the issues that we run into there are that, well, a lot of folks that are data professionals can be a little judgmental about that kind of data work that's happening in Excel. But B, that like when those folks get into working with data for the first time, there's a temptation to do the sort of throw it all on the page approach that I think we all see a lot of. You'll see, these dashboards pop up sometimes that are just so much data crammed into a page, so much more than anyone could interpret. And it's really coming from not a place of trying to communicate something with your data, but coming from a place of I have data, I just need to show it, and then people are going to figure things out. And that is just a really unfortunate misconception I think a lot of people have about working with data. Hey, if I just throw everything on the page, people are going to like figure it out and get insights from it. But I think that approach very much can cause a lot of issues. And in comparison to a different approach of maybe saying, hey, I'm going to focus in on answering one very specific question, going deep into the data around that question, and presenting data in a way that answers that question, that sort of approach works a lot better. And I really want to bridge the gap for casual data people who are just kind of working with data casually every once in a while as part of their job, so that they can start applying that a little bit more. And a lot of times, again, I think Excel is kind of the place where they can do that. Just because, again, it's just so intuitive. So many people are trained on it. So many people are familiar with how it works. And that's been kind of coming up a lot lately in my videos, on the streams. It's just like, how do we bridge that gap? So anyway, I'm rambling here. Oh, hey, my screen just stopped glitching. Hooray! Okay, oh, and let me just pause here because my screen stopped glitching. I can finally see everything. If you had questions or comments and I missed any of them, just drop them into the chat and I will do my best to answer them. And folks on the Discord who are tuning in, just taking a look. I see you all in there. LinkedIn working fine. Now you're going to get my fourth. Oh, Amer, sorry. For some reason, I don't think your comment or question came through, but I will check it out directly on LinkedIn. Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, though, folks. This is always fun. These are always really a good time. I tend to find myself just sort of rambling a little bit when we don't have a lot of questions in the chat, but I always enjoy these. Oh, Amer, there we go. Yeah, for some reason your comment didn't come through in the chat, but I see it here. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, cool. There we go. Cool. All right. Yeah, and folks, again, if I've missed something, if I didn't see your question or comment, just drop it in the chat one more time. I don't know how all this works, but sometimes it takes a while for the stuff to show up, or some of it, for some reason, just doesn't show up at all. I'm just going to post a little test response here. Looks like responses only go to YouTube. Okay, cool. All right. Diving right back into it. Okay. So, one of the contentious subjects that comes up on every stream I do is, why wouldn't you just do this in Power BI? Why wouldn't you just do this in Tableau? Why wouldn't you just do this in ClickSense? Whatever somebody's preferred BI tool is. It's a comes up maybe 10 times on every like TikTok stream I do. Consistent topic, and I find myself sometimes getting a little frustrated having to respond to it over and over again. But I do get where people are coming from when they ask this question, which is that if you are ultimately trying to create an automated data flow, right, where you're taking data and automatically turning it into reports that update automatically on a regular basis, then of course you're going to want to be using a BI tool. I think the issue is that a lot of work that people are doing out there probably isn't going to be automated or might not be worth putting in the time to automate. And so what do I mean by that? Well, it's kind of like what I was talking about before, how we have a lot of data work in the world being done sort of as casual, folks who are doing it once a week, building a report, copy pasting stuff, manually updating it and changing it in Excel, that sort of thing. In those situations, trying to introduce a whole new BI tool, get people trained on it, get it integrated into your organization, automate your whole workflow, that whole thing, that whole process might not be worth it for whatever you're doing, or might not even be possible if the work that you're doing is something that really can't be easily automated. If it's a real manual process, you're just not going to be able to do it sometimes. And when I see this all the time, but when a lot of folks that have a very formal, rigid data background come into those situations, they still are stuck in this mindset of there's only one right way to do it, and that right way to do it is to do a BI tool and connect all your data and do all this stuff. And oftentimes it's just not the right answer functionally within an organization. There's a little bit, I think, of idealism that goes into that when people think about what data should be versus what data actually is in organizations and how people make decisions with it. So when I get asked that question about, why not Power BI, why not Tableau, it's often really, I think it's coming from a place of the data professional that might have a very ideal version of what they want, data work to look like, versus the functional person within an organization having to work with data regularly and integrate new data into their organization. And those are opposing opinions sometimes. And it's kind of why I talk a lot too about why design and sort of these soft skills are so important in doing any kind of data work. You really need to understand how your team works, how your organization works, how decisions are made, how people are impacted by the data that you're reporting on, how people are using that data, how they're collecting that data, all that kind of stuff. And that is, although some of it can kind of fit into that binary way of thinking about data, a lot of it also can't be. A lot of it really requires you to have some human kind of skills. Think about things from kind of a design thinking perspective. And I think that gets overlooked. And when I've hired people in the past on projects, I never have a problem ever finding people with the technical skills I need. There's a huge number of people with the technical skills that I need, that I would need to hire somebody for. Excel experts, Tableau experts, Power BI experts, whatever it is, D3 experts, so many, because it's a kind of a popular career path. Lots of people get into it for sometimes good reasons, sometimes not so good reasons, and that's easy. The hard part is finding people who also have the soft skills that go into applying that data into the kind of practical impact in an organization. Folks who understand how to present that data well, people who understand sort of how that data fits into the operations of an organization. That is really hard to find. So if you're somebody out there who's a data professional looking for a career in this kind of stuff, that is something I very, very much encourage people to take the time to work on. You're gonna go so much farther if you apply some soft skills with those hard technical skills. You're really gonna be able to stand out and make work that has a bigger impact if you do that. I've had a whole career on, built around those soft skills, essentially. It's worked great. And I've been able to make a much bigger impact because of those soft skills. So just something I always put out there, something to think about if you're coming into this space and thinking about what you want to do and how you want to operate in it. Okay, just give me a second, folks. Just check in to see how the live's doing. Oh, let's see. We've got. Looks like everything is still working. If you're out on YouTube, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure if we actually are streaming to YouTube right now. Let me see. Double checking here. View on YouTube. Yeah, okay. We got a few people tuning in on YouTube. Hello, everybody on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I see a few of you. Got like 3 people there. If you're out there on YouTube, drop a comment. Drop something in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Jared Hobbs, working well. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it. Okay, heading back over. Cool. All right. Well, today's just going to kind of be a slow stream. I'm going to actually maybe do a little bit of work here as we're streaming, show some examples of the process I go through. This little fun NPS dashboard behind me is a great example of using data from ChatGPT. I had ChatGPT generate a custom data set for me. You don't need to do anything special for this. You literally just go into ChatGPT and ask it, hey, create a CSV file for me with sample NPS data. And then you can give, if it doesn't look right, you give it some instructions. Say, hey, can you add comments to it and maybe add a customer ID, and it'll add them in. And so I have this great little sample data set that I've used to create this fun little dashboard. And this comes up a lot for folks that are working on projects where you maybe don't have data yet, but you still need to build an example report or something like that. Try out doing a ChatGPT sample data set. It can't generate huge data sets. They're usually pretty small, but it's enough to get the job done and to start building visualizations and to start kind of just having something to work with. I've had a lot of fun with that so far, and especially with like NPS data. Like, I'm not doing any NPS stuff myself right now. I'm not sending out surveys for that ever, but I was able to ask ChatGPT and it was able to put together a fun little set of stuff for me. All right, let me put just something fun in the background and we'll keep talking here. Okay. Okay, cool. Awesome. There we go. We got a few people tuning in. These streams are never too big. I don't know what it is about LinkedIn and YouTube, but they get far less people tuning in than I do on the other platforms. So it'd be interesting to see how this goes. But if we have more people tune in, awesome. I don't know if it's possible to like and share streams on these platforms, but if it is, that's always a fun way of kind of reaching more people. So if you're comfortable with that and you have the ability, go for it. Okay, so what do we got here? I was recently showing how to create this kind of 3D effect in Excel. And I do these videos sometimes that are really just focused on styling, using shapes, using the shape customization features in Excel. And I think the visual stuff people really like. Of course, these also get a lot of comments like, why would you ever do this in Excel? But I think it's valid to do this kind of thing in Excel if you're just trying to present your data there anyways. But one of the big questions that always comes up when I show these is they say, hey, that's really cool. I like the shapes. It looks great. But how do you get data on it? Because typically when you think about data in Excel, you're thinking about rows and columns. You're thinking about a table, right? And really you customize it by like customizing each cell, changing your background color, changing your font color, adding an outline, that sort of thing. And a lot of what I talk about is really taking stuff out of those cells entirely and putting them on top of them. So this is like sort of the basic spiel I give in every single video, but Excel has layers, right? So if we look at this little dashboard behind me, we can kind of break this down into layers. Let me show you. And we can start to kind of see how it's built. So like our furthest layer back is our cell grid. That's where our data might live. It's where we actually like do formulas and cells and stuff. And then on top of that, we've got shapes added in. And then we stacked those shapes with other shapes. And then on top of that, we've added like metrics that are in text boxes. And on top of that, we've added charts, visuals, etc. And when you start stacking that together, you get cool, interesting, beautiful designs. You have the ability to start doing this stuff. And a lot of people think about this as like kind of crazy. Like you never get taught about doing this in Excel, so like nobody thinks it's even an option. But all these features to do it are built right in. It's like under the Insert tab, the ability to add in shapes, images, text, all that kind of stuff. It all works exactly the same way as it does in PowerPoint. This is the exact same interface that works the exact same way. The way that you customize the shapes works the exact same way. The way that you customize your text works the same way. All of it is the same. So like if you've built a PowerPoint slide, you've got a lot of those skills already probably. You just might not have applied them outside of PowerPoint and Excel. The way I tell people to test this is like go find your favorite PowerPoint, highlight the elements you want, copy them, and paste them in Excel. And what you'll find is that everything comes over. All of the shapes come over, all of the styling comes over, it just comes over exactly the same. And then you can see how all of that is applied in Excel. They're very interoperable. On the flip side of that too, a lot of people don't realize that you can link, if you're on PC, I should preface this, if you're on a PC, you can link PowerPoint to Excel so that when you update your Excel sheet, your PowerPoint updates and the numbers and charts update to reflect whatever's in your Excel sheet. There's a lot of kind of cool stuff around that. Again, that's for PC folks only. It's not going to work if you're on Mac, but it's a really fun feature that gets overlooked sometimes and can help you automate a lot of your workflow. Right, and I'm gonna, I always say this, but again, if you have questions, comments, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'd love to hear from everyone. Let me quickly open up the chat, make sure I haven't missed anything, but I don't think we have. Yeah. So yeah, if you have questions or comments, let me know. I think we only have a few people tuned in right now, so I don't think I'm gonna like make this stream go on and on and on. I'm not big on streaming to an empty room just in general, and I think just with how LinkedIn and YouTube work for streaming in general, it doesn't get shared with a lot of people, so the audience tends to be quite small. So if anybody has any final questions, comments, etc., just drop them in, let me know. I will keep an eye out for them and try to answer them before I tune off here. And if not, no problem. You can always tune back in for more. I'm also going to be doing a live stream over on TikTok later today at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So let's see here. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I think we're gonna start winding down soon here. I don't see any other questions or comments, so this was a fun little experiment. I'm still learning about this whole streaming thing, testing out the different platforms, figuring out how to make it work a little bit better. It's all a learning journey, so appreciate everybody putting up with me rambling on these or trying to get the technical stuff figured out. And it's always great seeing people who tune in, chatting with folks who are in the community. I see folks comment and like stuff sometimes, but it's always great hearing, comments from people directly. David says, thank you for all the info. You're so welcome. And Larry, yeah, TikTok handle. Let me put that here. I think I have to post it directly in LinkedIn for you. And we will get it posted. And I have the stream scheduled on TikTok, so if you just click that, I believe if you click the link to my account, you will be able to save it as like an event or something. Let me go over to your comment, Larry, and respond. Give me a second. All right, I've just posted the TikTok link in the chat. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. So, yeah, I think I'm going to wind down here. Again, I don't think I see any other questions or comments. If you are somebody who wants more of these, you want different topics covered, you want me to go deeper on any particular topic, if you have examples, you want to see anything like that, just drop it as a comment on any of my videos or any of my posts, and I'll read through all of those. I can't always respond to all of them, but I'll read through all of them for sure, and I can then try to integrate that into the next stream. I found that that's a useful way to do it. Sometimes people think of something afterwards they wish they could have asked about, and that way we can still kind of cover that stuff. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you, everybody. This was a fun one. I will probably do a longer one that is scheduled in the future, maybe a little later in the day. And I think those will be a little more fun. Maybe we'll do like specific examples or do a little build out, like a dashboard build out live. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely time wherever you are in the world. And if you want to tune in on the TikTok later today, I will see you all there.